These machines were never supposed to last this long. Built in the 1980s, worked hard, abused daily, and yet they refused to die. While modern farm machines break down with warning lights and error codes, these old beasts keep running with nothing but diesel and basic maintenance. Today, we're counting down the 10 farm machines from the 1980s built to last forever. And once you see them, you'll understand why farmers still trust old iron more than new technology. Number 10. John Deere 7720 Combine Harvester. The John Deere 7720 represents everything that made 1980s farm machines legendary for durability. Introduced in the late 1970s and widely used throughout the 1980s, the 7720 was built at a time when combines were expected to run endlessly through dust, heat, and long harvest days without complaint. This machine was not designed around electronics or operator comfort first. It was designed around mechanical reliability and raw harvesting capability. Its heart was a massive, low-revving diesel engine paired with a fully mechanical drivetrain that farmers trusted because they could see how it worked and fix it themselves. What truly set the 720 apart was its threshing and separation system. The Walker-style design was simple, heavy, and extremely forgiving. Even when crop conditions were less than ideal, green straw, high moisture, uneven feeding, the machine kept moving. The walkers, bearings, and shafts were oversized compared to modern standards, which meant they could tolerate abuse without immediate failure. Many farmers ran these machines well beyond their intended service life, simply because the core components refused to quit. Another reason the 7020 earned its built forever reputation was serviceability. Panels came off easily, grease points were accessible, and nearly every wear component could be replaced without specialized tools. There were no computer modules to fail, no software lockouts, and no dealer-only diagnostics. If a belt broke or a bearing failed, the solution was mechanical, not digital. That independence mattered deeply to farmers working against weather windows and tight harvest schedules. Even the cab design reflected the mindset of the era. It wasn't luxurious, but it was solid, quiet enough for long days, and free of unnecessary electronics. Gauges were analog, switches were simple, and wiring was minimal. That simplicity is why many 72ons are still harvesting grain today or serving as reliable backup machines decades later. In a world where modern combines can be sidelined by sensor errors, the John Deere 7072on stands as proof that durability and simplicity once ruled the fields. Number 9. Case IH 2290 Magnum Tractor. The Case IH 2290 Magnum is widely regarded as one of the toughest articulated tractors ever built, and its reputation for longevity is not exaggerated. Released during the early 1980s, the 2290 arrived when large-scale farming demanded brute pulling power without complexity. This tractor wasn't trying to impress anyone with technology. It was built to pull massive implements day after day with minimal downtime. At the core of the 2290 was a heavy-duty diesel engine tuned for torque rather than speed. The power delivery was smooth, predictable, and incredibly forgiving under load. Farmers trusted these engines because they were understressed, meaning internal components were never pushed near their limits. That design philosophy alone is why many of these tractors have clocked tens of thousands of hours with only routine rebuilds. The articulation joint, often a weak point on lesser machines, was massively overbuilt on the 2290. Thick steel castings, large pins, and simple mechanical steering meant the tractor could handle rough ground and heavy draft work without frame fatigue. The transmission was equally robust, fully mechanical, straightforward, and nearly impossible to kill if maintained properly. Hydraulics on the 2290 were powerful but simple. There were no electronic valves or pressure sensors, just dependable pumps and steel lines. When leaks developed, farmers fixed them. When seals wore out, they were replaced. This made the tractor ideal for remote operations where dealer support was limited. What truly cemented the Magnum's legendary status was how adaptable it was. Whether pulling plows, heavy discs, air seeders, or grain carts, the 2290 handled it all without complaint. Even today, many farmers refuse to sell theirs, using them as primary tillage tractors or reliable backups. The Case IH 2290 Magnum wasn't just built for the 1980s, it was built for a lifetime of hard labor. Number 8. New Holland 855 Round Bale. When it comes to farm machines built to last forever, The new Holland 855 round baler stands in a class of its own. Introduced during the early 1980s, the 855 helped define what a reliable round baler should be. At a time when many balers struggled with inconsistent bale shape and frequent breakdowns, the 855 earned a reputation for simply working season after season. The design philosophy behind the 855 was mechanical simplicity, paired with heavy construction. Chain and slat systems were thick, slow-moving, and massively durable. Instead of lightweight components designed for efficiency, New Holland opted for strength. Bearings were oversized, rollers were solid, and the frame could withstand years of vibration without cracking. This baler was designed to be abused in dusty, dry, and sometimes neglected conditions and still perform. One of the most impressive aspects of the 85 was how forgiving it was for operators. Uneven windrows, variable crop density, and operator mistakes rarely stopped the machine. If something did go wrong, the fix was straightforward. Chains could be replaced, bearings pressed out, and tension adjusted without electronic calibration. Farmers quickly learned every sound and vibration the baler made, developing an almost instinctive understanding of its operation. Maintenance was also farmer-friendly. Grease points were accessible, shields were removable, and wear items were standardized. Many owners kept these balers running with homemade parts, used components, or simple repairs that extended service life far beyond expectations. Even today, New Holland 855 balers are still producing hay on small and mid-sized farms. Some have been rebuilt multiple times, proving that the original design was strong enough to justify the effort. In an era where modern balers can be sidelined by software faults, the 855 remains a mechanical survivor, a true symbol of 1980s durability. Number 7. Claas Dominator 108 Combine Harvesters. The Claas Dominator 108 is one of the most respected European combines ever built, and its durability has become legendary across continents. Produced throughout the 1980s, this machine represented German engineering at its most uncompromising. Claas designed the Dominator series with one priority above all else: uninterrupted harvesting performance under extreme conditions. The Dominator 108 featured a robust threshing drum and separation system engineered for consistency rather than complexity. Its mechanical layout was logical, symmetrical, and easy to access, traits that mechanics appreciated immediately. Heavy-duty belts, shafts, and bearings were chosen not for cost savings, but for longevity. Many Dominator 108s operated for decades with their original driveline components still intact. Cooling was another area where Claas excelled. The Dominator's cooling system was designed to prevent overheating during long European harvests, even in dusty conditions. This attention to airflow and thermal management dramatically extended engine life and reduced downtime, one of the main reasons these machines aged so gracefully. The cab, while basic by today's standards, was solid and practical. Controls were mechanical, visibility was excellent, and the operator remained connected to the machine's behavior. There were no hidden systems. If something sounded wrong, you knew it immediately. What truly defines the Dominator 108's legacy is how many are still operational today. Some have been passed down through generations, others exported and rebuilt, but all share one thing in common: they refuse to die. The Dominator 108 wasn't built to impress a brochure, it was built to harvest crops for a lifetime. Number 6. Massey Ferguson 760 Combine Harvesters. The Massey Ferguson 760 is one of those machines that quietly earned legendary status by never giving farmers a reason to complain. Introduced in the late 1970s and widely used throughout the 1980s, the 760 was built during Massey Ferguson's strongest engineering era, when durability and field performance mattered more than marketing features. This combine wasn't flashy, but it was brutally honest. It harvested crops, survived abuse, and kept going long after newer machines arrived. At the heart of the MF 760 was a simple but extremely durable mechanical design. The threshing system was straightforward, heavily reinforced, and tolerant of varying crop conditions. Whether working in dry wheat, damp barley, or heavy straw, the combine maintained consistent output without demanding constant adjustment. The walkers were long, thick, and supported by strong bearings that resisted fatigue. Many operators noted that even when the machine was pushed hard, it rarely shook itself apart, something that cannot be said for lighter modern designs. Engine reliability was another defining trait. Massey Ferguson equipped the 760 with proven diesel power plants tuned conservatively for longevity. These engines were designed to run all day at steady RPMs, not chase maximum horsepower numbers. As a result, internal wear was slow, oil consumption remained stable, and rebuild intervals were long. Farmers trusted these engines because they were forgiving. Miss a service by a few hours and the machine didn't punish you for it. Serviceability played a huge role in the 7060's long life. Panels opened easily, belts were accessible, and mechanical linkages were visible and understandable. There were no electronic controllers to confuse troubleshooting. If a problem developed, it was mechanical, and mechanical problems can be solved. That philosophy kept MF 7060 combines working decades after production stopped. Today, many MF 760s still exist as backup harvesters or main machines on smaller farms. Some have harvested hundreds of thousands of acres across multiple owners. That kind of lifespan doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of machines being built when good enough wasn't acceptable. Number 5. International Harvester 1486 Tractor. The International Harvester 1486 is a perfect example of 1980s brute force tractor engineering. Built during a turbulent time for the company, the 1486 nevertheless emerged as one of the most respected heavy row crop tractors ever produced. Farmers who owned one quickly realized that this machine wasn't delicate. It was stubborn, powerful, and nearly impossible to wear out. The tractor's greatest strength was its drivetrain. Designed to handle continuous heavy tillage, the transmission and rear-end components were massively overbuilt. Gears were thick, shafts were oversized, and the housing itself was a structural component rather than a shell. This meant the tractor could pull large plows, discs, and cultivators year after year without frame distortion or driveline failure. The diesel engine was another highlight. Tuned for torque rather than speed, it delivered power smoothly and predictably. Farmers appreciated how the engine lugged down under load instead of stalling, which reduced stress on components and improved fuel efficiency. Even when abused, these engines often survived with nothing more than routine maintenance and occasional injector work. Hydraulics on the 1486 were simple and strong. No electronic valves, no computerized load sensing, just pumps, steel lines, and mechanical controls. Leaks were easy to identify and fix. That simplicity meant downtime was measured in hours, not days. The cab, while not luxurious, was rugged and functional. Thick steel construction reduced vibration, and basic controls ensured long-term reliability. The tractor was built during a time when farmers valued strength over comfort, and it shows. Even today, the International Harvester 1486 remains a respected workhorse on many farms. Owners often say the same thing: "It's not pretty, but it works." And that statement perfectly captures why this tractor deserves its place among machines built to last forever. Number 4. Hesston 4800 Large Square Baler. The Hesston 4800 Large Square Baler changed hay production forever, and its durability made it a legend. Introduced in the early 1980s, this machine didn't just create big bales, it created a new standard for reliability in hay equipment. Before electronics entered baler control systems, the 4800 relied entirely on mechanical timing, massive flywheels, and brute strength. What made the 4800 exceptional was its sheer mass. The plunger assembly was enormous, riding on heavy bearings, and guided by thick steel rails. Each stroke compressed hay with tremendous force, yet the system remained remarkably smooth. This wasn't accidental. Hesston engineered the baler with huge safety margins to absorb shock loads and uneven crop feeds without destroying itself. Knotter systems, often the weakest point on balers, were built with precision-machined components that could be serviced, adjusted, and rebuilt repeatedly. Experienced operators learned to read the baler by sound alone, identifying issues before they became failures. This relationship between operator and machine is something modern automated systems have largely eliminated. Maintenance accessibility was outstanding. Guards were removable, grease points were clearly marked, and wear components were designed to be replaced, not discarded. Many 4800 balers have been rebuilt multiple times, with original frames still intact after decades of service. Even today, some Hesston 4800s remain in operation, producing thousands of bales every season. Others have been retired only because parts availability or farm size changed, not because the machine failed. The Ford 800 stands as proof that when manufacturers design for strength first, machines can outlive entire generations of farming technology. Number 3. Kuhn GMD Disc Mower Series. Kuhn's GMD Disc Mower Series from the 1980s is a masterclass in mechanical durability. At a time when mower conditioners were becoming increasingly complex, Kuhn focused on building disc mowers that could survive stones, uneven terrain, and high operating speeds without catastrophic failure. The result was a lineup of machines that earned an almost indestructible reputation. The key to the GMD's longevity was its gearbox design. Each disc module was independently driven and sealed, meaning damage to one unit rarely spread to the rest of the cutter bar. This modular approach drastically reduced repair costs and downtime. Thick gears, hardened shafts, and strong housings allowed the mower to absorb impacts that would destroy lighter designs. Frames were heavy and rigid, resisting twisting even when operating at full width over uneven ground. Mounting points were reinforced, and suspension systems were mechanical rather than electronic, simple springs and linkages that worked reliably year after year. Farmers valued these mowers because they demanded little attention beyond lubrication and blade replacement. When repairs were needed, they were straightforward. Gearboxes could be rebuilt, discs replaced, and bearings serviced without specialized tools. Many 1980s Kuhn GMD mowers are still cutting grass today, sometimes on their third or fourth owner. Their continued use is not nostalgia, it's practicality. They work, they last, and they prove that smart mechanical design never goes out of style. Number 2. Ford 8630 Tractor. The Ford 8630 stands as one of the most underrated heavy tractors of the 1980s, and yet those who worked with one know exactly why it deserves legendary status. Built during Ford's final years in the agricultural equipment market before the transition toward New Holland branding, the 8630 represented the peak of Ford's mechanical engineering philosophy. This was a tractor designed not to impress with innovation, but to earn trust through reliability, strength, and absolute mechanical honesty. At the core of the 8630 was a massive, slow-revving diesel engine engineered for torque and endurance, rather than peak horsepower numbers. Ford intentionally avoided pushing the engine to its limits, which resulted in remarkably low internal stress. Pistons, crankshafts, and bearings were built with generous tolerances and heavy materials, allowing the engine to run for tens of thousands of hours with minimal internal work. Many owners report that these engines only needed injector servicing and basic maintenance for decades. The transmission and rear end were equally impressive. Gears were thick, shafts were oversized, and housings were heavy castings designed to handle constant high-load tillage. Unlike later designs that relied on electronic shifting systems, the 8630 used straightforward mechanical controls that rarely failed. When something did wear out, it could be rebuilt, not replaced entirely. This rebuild-friendly design philosophy is one of the biggest reasons these tractors still operate today. Hydraulics on the 8630 were simple but powerful. Steel lines, robust pumps, and mechanical valves meant predictable performance and easy troubleshooting. Leaks were visible, fixes were straightforward, and downtime stayed minimal. Farmers didn't need a dealer laptop to diagnose problems. Experience and common sense were enough. The cab reflected the era's priorities: thick steel construction, minimal electronics, and controls that could survive vibration, dust, and years of use. Comfort was secondary to durability, and that trade-off paid off in longevity. Today, the Ford 8630 is still respected as a heavy tillage tractor that refuses to retire. Many owners say the same thing: if you keep oil in it, it will outlive you. That reputation alone earns it a place near the very top of this list. Number 1. John Deere 4440 Tractor. At number 1, there is no debate. The John Deere 4440 is widely considered one of the greatest farm machines ever built, not just of the 1980s but of all time. Introduced in the late 1970s and dominating farms throughout the 1980s, the 4440 earned a reputation that has only grown stronger with age. This tractor wasn't just reliable, it became the benchmark by which durability itself was measured. The heart of the 4440 was a perfectly balanced diesel engine that combined power, fuel efficiency, and legendary longevity. Deere engineers tuned the engine conservatively, ensuring it could run long days at constant load without overheating or excessive wear. The result was an engine that farmers trusted implicitly, an engine that started in cold weather, pulled hard under load, and just kept running. The quad range and power shift transmissions offered strength without unnecessary complexity. These gearboxes were designed to handle abuse, missed shifts, and heavy draft work without catastrophic failure. Many 44/4 transmissions have been rebuilt once or not at all, despite decades of use. That kind of durability doesn't come from luck, it comes from engineering with massive safety margins. Hydraulics on the 4440 were strong, responsive, and simple. No electronic valves, no sensors, just proven hydraulic systems that delivered consistent performance. When repairs were needed, parts were widely available, affordable, and easy to install. This availability of parts is a major reason the 4440 remains viable even today. The cab design was revolutionary for its time, yet still mechanically simple. Operators benefited from improved visibility and reduced fatigue, but without sacrificing durability. Switches, gauges, and controls were designed to survive vibration and dust, and many still function perfectly decades later. Perhaps the most telling sign of the 4440's greatness is its resale value. Even today, these tractors command strong prices because farmers know exactly what they're getting. A machine that works, can be fixed, and will never become obsolete due to software or electronics. The John Deere 4440 wasn't just built to last forever. It redefined what forever meant in agriculture. Those were the forever machines of the 1980s, built in an era when durability mattered more than marketing and reliability mattered more than features. While modern equipment comes and goes, these legends keep working, quietly proving their worth season after season. Which one of these machines do you still see running today? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your story. If you respect old-school farming and machines that never quit, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who knows what real iron looks like. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep the engines running and the legends alive.